the greatest, was one of the greatest services that we ever had. My Sunday message was so good that it's being put in the CSL, Center for Spiritual Living Hall of Fame for Sunday messages, and you all missed it. And Ginny Panic, who did the prayer, most people couldn't hear it, and we got a lot of complaints about that. But Ginny called me up the next day and she said, Ron, last night when I was sleeping, I had a dream that God came to me. And God said, the hell with those people that are complaining. I heard the prayer and I liked it. And then Barb Loftus did a reading for us that was so strong and so powerful that she actually got contacted by the Pulitzer people, and she's up for a Pulitzer Prize for Literature, even though she didn't write what she wrote. And she did it in such a powerful way that she was contacted by the Screen Actors Guild to see, they have an opening now that Will Smith is gone, to see if she'd like to join the Screen Actors Guild. Reverend Jenna, I called on her on the spur of the moment to do a prayer, and I guess one of the local priests from the Catholic Church tuned in on YouTube and heard it, and they've now made her an honorary nun. And this is all last week. I'm so sorry you guys missed it. Now there is, you know, in all things, there's mixed messages. And unfortunately, there's one sad note. Ed Powers, who worked so hard, was our technical person last week. And even though I know, and we all know it wasn't his fault that we had the technical issues, somehow his alma mater found out that he was doing our technical work. And they sent Ed a letter, the University of Massachusetts sent Ed a letter, and they asked him to do two things. The first one is to please don't tell anybody you graduated here. And the second one was to please send your diploma back. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my wife, Becky, who's the practitioner emeritus, is going to open us with the. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're going to have another song now. And then my wife, Becky, is going to come up, who's a practitioner emeritus, and do a prayer. And Carol Gabika is going to open us with a reading.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love in the stillness of this moment. There is love. There is love, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is love, sweet love, yeah, sweet love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love. I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I feel love. I feel love, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment I feel love. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace. In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I am peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment I am peace. I am love. I am peace. I am love.
So right now, as we begin the sacred time, I just invite each and every one of us to go within to that place of gratitude. Place of gratitude that opens up our hearts, allowing it to expand. So let's just take a minute to just contemplate this gratitude. so as we allow this gratitude to open up our hearts, filling our hearts with its love and light, we recognize this wonderful infinite presence and power that is always surrounding each and every one of us. That it is in the form and the formless, the seen and unseen. And right here, I'm knowing my oneness in this divine power, that it is always expressing so fully and easily through me, as me, and for me. I'm knowing this for each and every person who is here in person and on Zoom and who will be viewing this later on, that each one of us is one in this magnificent power, that it is always expressing itself as the unique presence of who and what each one of us is. And I'm knowing that because there's no separation, that each one of us is expressing and knowing its joy, its love, its harmony, its peace, and so much more. Fulfilling itself as the human expressions of itself. For we know that we are always the spiritual being expressing out in this human form. That there's only oneness, this oneness in this divine power, and the oneness that we have with one another. And so I'm knowing that this divine presence is right here, unfolding its divine perfection in this morning service. It's right here within Reverend Dr. Ron and his unique knowledge and wisdom to express his message that touches our hearts, our consciousness, deepening our awareness of who we really are. And I'm knowing that this morning is filled with its joy, with its knowledge, with its wisdom. And so as we allow it to just be here within us, and knowing that everything is unfolding as it should. So I give thanks. I give thanks for knowing this for each one of us. I release it, knowing that it is already done. I claim it for each one of us and know that it is so. And so it is.
Thank you, Becky. That was beautiful. My knees and my back got together and convinced me to buy one of those robot vacuums. Swallowing my trepidation, I pressed the buy button and awaited the arrival of my new guest. I watched it try to maneuver the Lebenev that is my house, attacking, reattacking the same leg of my desk chair, until it found an open space and made a run across my floor. I could almost see it lift one wheel in celebratory hoorah as it plowed new ground. With expectation, I pressed the map button to see what it had made of the quagmire that my nooks and crannies had laid in its wake, only to see a message that read, "Still learning." I understand. So am I. Daily, hourly, even by the minute, still learning, So many things I don't yet comprehend. So many I haven't yet experienced. Sights and sounds yet to be explored. Some to be re-experienced. Still learning. With thanksgiving, I proceed. Still learning.
Wow, what a powerful beginning. What a great prayer, Becky, and what a wonderful reading, Carol. So before I begin the message, I did forget to make one serious announcement, and that is we actually could use another volunteer or two to help with the technical part of putting the service on. In fact, for May 22nd, we don't have a technical person, and unless somebody volunteers to help us, we're not gonna have a service that day. So please, Becky and Ed, it looks like they've got all the kinks worked out, and they will take the time to train you. So please, somebody step up. So the title of my message today is Keeping a Beginner's Mind. And I want to open with two quotes from Ernest Holmes, who founded the Center for Spiritual Living. And the first one is, he wrote, "To learn how to think is to learn how to live." And the second quote is, "Know your own mind. Train yourself to think what you wish to think, to be what you wish to be, to feel what you wish to feel, and don't place any limits on principle." So, for me, with those two quotes, he's saying we can learn to put out into the universe what we want. And what we put out, what we want, that's what we get back. And he's also saying, when he says, don't put any limits on principle, he's basically, and I'm going to talk about this some more, he's basically saying, don't put any limits on God, because in God, anything is possible. So I want to tell you a story. It's not a brand new story, so some of you might have heard it before, but it's about a Zen master who gets a visit from a Western scholar on religion. And the Western scholar is coming to learn about Zen. And he sits down and he starts to talk about everything that he knows and all of his ideas. And at some point, the Zen master begins to pour them both some tea. And he pours the tea to the top of the cup and over the cup and on to the saucer and on to the table and on to this Western scholar's lap. And finally, the Western scholar jumps up and says, "Don't you see what you're doing? It's full. You can't get any more in there." And the Zen master says to him, "It's like this cup, you are filled with your own ideas. And how can I tell you about Zen unless you bring me an empty cup?" In beginner's mind, there's no judgment. There's only possibilities. There's an open mind. And if your mind is full, how can the universe put any wisdom in there? So I want to tell you a story about that. That's kind of like the scholar, but in a different way. And this actually happened in one of the centers when Becky and I were living in Auburn. So one of my congregants came to me and she said to me, "Reverend Ron, I'm having surgery this week and it's going to involve skin grafts. And my doctor said for 2 days, I need to get the skin was going to be put on her leg. And she said, my doctor told me that for 2 days, I need to really lie in bed to make sure that they take. And so I need you to do me a favor. And I said, what? She said, you need to give me work to do to keep me busy. Otherwise, I'm gonna go nuts. So one of the things we had going, we had a workshop going on that weekend. And we were bringing a speaker in from somewhere to do it. And I wanted to make sure we had a good crowd. So one of the things I asked her to do, I gave her our membership list and some other names that we had in another list. And I said to her, Annie, would you call these people and remind them about the workshop? And she said, oh, that's perfect. I'd love to do it. Then she called me up after a few hours after she started. And she said, are you going to come to see me? I want to talk to you. So I said, sure. So Becky and I go to visit. And she said, you're not going to believe I make these phone calls for you. She said, and half the people said to me that they don't go to workshops because they had heard it all and they knew it all. And my first reaction was, geez, I wish I knew it all. I've been a minister for years and I don't know it all. And we thought, wow, the truth is we never, ever stop learning. The path isn't about workshops. It's about working on our spiritual growth. We never reach the end of the road. And I know probably anybody that's ever taken a course from me has heard me say that there's no there. It goes on forever. Our lessons are never finished. It's like we're in a school that we never get to graduate from. And you know, all spiritual work has a cumulative effect that when we do the work, when we have the commitment, when we have the dedication, we reach a higher plateau. And for me, deepening our consciousness is like peeling an onion. For every layer, there's another layer beneath it. And so if at some point in your life, you're feeling stuck, you have options. You can blame your mentor. You can say, well, obviously this science of mind stuff, it doesn't work. Or you can peel another layer and discover a different truth. So each one of us gets to decide, do I want to settle? Am I willing to settle? Or do I want a life that's full of vigor, that's full of excitement, that's full of challenge? And you get to choose. You know, Ernest Holmes reminds us that we can't live a choiceless life. I think you heard Carol say that in her reading, that Holmes said every day, every moment, every second, there's a choice. Dennis Merritt Jones is a CSL minister who's a fabulous writer. And in one of his books, he quotes Socrates, who said, the unexamined life is not worth living. When we take the time to examine our life, we get answers that make our life worth living. And the only barriers we have to getting those answers are the ones that we create. Because all of us are born with unlimited possibilities because we have unlimited potential. You know, in my book, Experiencing the Beacon Within, in the foreword, I talked about my father and how my father would say to me, we would sit together weekend mornings and we would listen to a radio show. And it really wasn't about the radio show. I didn't get that until I got older, but it was about him imparting some wisdom to me. And he used to say, because I used to goof off in high school, and he used to say to me, you can have it all. The world is your oyster. And somehow it got through. And I changed when I went to college, and it changed my life, the belief that I had this potential, that I could be more. You know, the German philosopher Goethe said, what you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. The solutions to all of our problems are within ourselves. And we get to decide to change our lives. And that's the first step, making the decision or the commitment to deepen our consciousness. You know, it takes work, but the work is worth it. So Raymond Charles Barker was one of the early ministers, and he's an icon in our movement. And I was reading something he wrote this week, and I thought it was a really interesting way to look at this. He wrote about the dual law, he called it, of possibility and probability, the dual law of possibility and probability. And so let me give you an example, and then I'll tell you what he meant. So a father comes to Jesus in the Bible. This is a Bible story, and kind of the Bronx version. So a father comes to Jesus and said, will you help me? My son is possessed. And Jesus says to him, if you believe, all things are possible for those who believe. And his father says back to Jesus, Lord, I believe. Help me with my unbelief. And when the father shows his deep belief, his son is healed. Here's the point. Probability is of the human mind. Possibility is of the spirit. And many of us limit our belief because we believe in the probability rather than the possibility. So you just think about this. I've said this before. Think about somebody with a terrible disease and God saying, oh my gosh, I was almost going to say, oh my God, oh myself. That's really a biggie. I don't know if I could help with that one. I mean, that's unimaginable, isn't it? Because in spirit, all things are possible. Just like Ernest Holmes said in one of the first readings I did. And we can join with spirit to bring that possibility into our life. There's no difference to spirit between cancer and a hung nail or whatever you call that kind of nail. If we believe anything is possible, even a possessed child can be healed, You know, we need to be willing to go deeper. So Barbara DeAngelis tells a really interesting fable. And here's the fable. It's about a soul that goes into a body and into a baby. And when it does, it forgets why it's there and it falls asleep. And it goes on and lives its life as a human being, not aware that anything is wrong. And then after a long life, the angels come to bring it home. And when they're bringing it home, they wake him up. And he looks at them and says, oh, I must have dozed off. What did I miss? Nothing, but only everything. And that's the point. We need to open ourselves to what's happening. And only then will we receive what we're here to receive. Wisdom, think about this, wisdom is everywhere. And so are opportunities to learn. And we need to open ourselves. The key is we need to be receptive. And those people I talked about at the beginning that thought they know it all and have heard it all, obviously, that is being receptive. And how do you grow? How do you grow? How do you make the decision to say, I don't need to learn anything anymore. I don't need to hear anything anymore because I got it all. I got it all. You know, life gives us lessons. And I guess I've said this, I don't mean to be repetitive. We need to be open to them, even the difficult ones. You know, in my own life, to give you an example, a job loss, it could lead to greater things. And in my own life, I had this job I loved, and then I worked for Mattel Toys, and I worked in the wrong division. I worked in the boys' toys division, and the girls' toys division had Barbie, and Barbie was Mattel. So they did away with my division and my job. And it led, at first I was pretty sad, but it led to much greater things. It led to me opening my own business and not only making more money, but feeling more satisfied in what I was doing. You know, you can have a breakup, and what do you learn from a breakup? You learn forgiveness, and you learn your own inner strength. After my first wife and I got divorced, my daughter was pretty upset when Becky and I got married because it broke her dream that somehow we would ever get back together. And I called her in one day and we had a long talk, and I said, you know, Mary, don't wish for me to go back, because where I am now is a better place. And if somehow I could go back and I could suffer all the pain and the agony I felt when we got divorced, I would do it again, because I like where I am now. Any one of us could do that. The disappointments, the hurts, the losses are all opportunities for us to grow. We take charge of our lives instead of feeling like victims. Lama Surya Das is a Buddhist scholar, and he writes in one of his books about renunciation. And I want to read to you his definition of renunciation. He said it's sacrificing or giving up something that seems important at the moment in favor of something that we know ultimately has more meaning. And he said on the spiritual journey, that means non-attachment. And in today's world, it means an inner certainty that there's more than meets the eye, and we need to be open to it. And how are we open to it? By releasing our grip and opening our eyes and our hearts. So some of you might be familiar with Nasruddin. Nasruddin is a Sufi person. He's kind of a wise man and a fool, a clown, and he's a teaching tool that the Sufis use. So there's a story about Nasruddin sitting in the marketplace, and he looks really uncomfortable, and kind of a crowd forms around him. And when they do, his eyes are all red and tearing. His face is all red, and he's sweating profusely. And there's a pile of hot peppers next to him, and he's slowly eating each one. And somebody in the crowd says, "Why are you doing that?" And he says, "I'm looking for a sweet one." And the point is, how often do we insist on doing something our own way, even when it hasn't worked out before, but we keep doing it and doing it. And the point is, we need to let go and we need to move on. So I want to close with a quote from the late actor Michael Landon. And he wrote, "Somebody should tell us right at the start of our lives that we're dying. Then we might live life to the limit every minute of every day. Do it. I say whatever you want to do it now, because there are only so many tomorrows. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. God bless you. Have a wonderful week.
Tiny drops of water bouncing on my roof, drumming out a song of love, pounding out the truth. You send them to remind me, one for every blessing on me, and oh, they keep coming. Overflowing. Every day your goodness finds me. Every day your heart beats true. I'm alive in the light and the glory, amazed by the sight of you. This love is everlasting, and you find a way to show me every day. In the rush of freeway traffic, in the hush of a sunset, you get my attention. I'm listening. It's a private conversation, you and I in a one vibration, and oh, it moves me so amazing. Every day your goodness finds me. Every day your heart beats true. I'm alive in the light and the glory, amazed by the sight of you. This love is everlasting, and you find a way to show me every day, every day. There is no one like you. Every day. There is no one like you. Every day. You love me. Every day. You love me. Every day your goodness finds me. Every day your heart beats true. I'm alive in the light and the glory, amazed by the sight of you. This love is everlasting, and you find a way to show me every day, every day, oh, every day, every day, every day. Every day.
So now, if I could ask our usher to come forward, and if the rest of us could repeat the joyful giving affirmation in the back of the program. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. So I just want to point out as we're doing that on the screen, for those of you that are on Zoom, it shows the way that you could donate to us, because your donations keep us going. And if we don't get donations, we won't be able to keep doing the work that we do and having these services that I know so many of you enjoy. So if we could just take a moment to come together and to just know that there is one life, and that life is always moving in and through each and every one of us. And we are all a part of this universe, of this loving creator that brought us all forth. And so I give thanks for knowing that we have the ability to move forward in this life as a beginner, to be open to all that Spirit has to teach us and to give us. That each one of us has the ability to make the choice to say, yes, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to be more, I want to live my dream, I want to do what life gives me to do. I give thanks for each of us having the ability to do that, to knowing we can do it, and to living a life that's without limits, a life that's filled with possibilities, that overlooks probabilities and knows that there is no there. There are no limits to what we can be, to what we can do, to what we can have, to what we can share, to how we can grow. And I give thanks for all of it. I just say thank you, life. Thank you, Spirit. And for all of this and so much more, I give thanks. I release this word, and I let it be. And so it is. So once again, thank you all for being here, whether it's in person here or on Zoom or this week. We appreciate it. And I just want to again appeal, if there's anybody out there that can help us on a technical basis, please either see Ed Powers, see Becky, see me, because we need at least one more person to help us make this service a reality. So now if we could, we're going to do our closing song. And I would ask us if we could stand and do that, and then we'll do our closing affirmations. And I think we're going to have the words up here. We're good. Just let him go.
And here we go. A beautiful song about being peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
What an appropriate song for this time of year.
There you go.
So let's close with our closing affirmation. Just repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
It is this thing called life.
It's a thing called life.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my affairs.
Life is in my affairs.
I receive it.
I receive receive it.
I share it.
I share it.
I am it. And I accept it.
And I accept it.
Just the way that it is
Just the way that it is.
and just the way that it is not.
And just the way that it is.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, Lord.
And so it is.
So it is.
We're done.
Oh.
Wait, we're still recording
It
here.
was roaring. I had to put my